Marcus Fitzgerald has developed his career as a concert and festival promoter and a consultant for musicians. He is deeply passionate about live music and is connected with a wide range of bands, DJs, and international agencies and promoters. He founded Gigmet in 2012 and has since led the company as a CEO. So please tell us something about yourself and your company Gigmet.
Sure. I'm Marcus Fitzgerald. I'm the CEO and founder of Gigmet. Gigmet is an online platform to connect artists, performing artists, bands, DJs with festivals and clubs, so all sorts of stages. And we started off in Europe, growing internationally now, and have already 160,000 users, which is pretty exciting. And we aim to help artists all around the world to get on stage and help festivals and clubs all around the world to find the right artists for their events.
Right. So what was the inspiration behind starting Gigmet? Like, were you in the music industry before as well in your career?
Yeah, that's a great question. So yeah, I have been working as a promoter, so I'm this kind of industry person. I have been working as a promoter for over 15 years before starting Gigmet, and I was in touch with artists a lot. I did my own events in clubs. I organized my own festival, and so I had a lot of different touch points to artists and to other event organizers, and I definitely felt during that whole 15 years that it's a huge problem to kind of find each other and to get connected and to get booked easily, like in a very smart and structured way. And on the other hand, I've seen just before I started Gigmet, I've seen a lot of digital platforms and companies popping up and solving certain problems in different industries. And I was really excited about the technology is really making it possible to solve the problems of different industries. So I tried to connect the dots and use my kind of knowledge from the industry and the problem I found there that it's really difficult to find each other and get in touch from the artist and the venue side. And connected it with a digital solution. It was maybe a little bit early at the time when I started, but now I see it's very much needed, and it's going great and going forward.
Kind of transformed your passion for music into something profitable.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
So since the day you launched Gigmet, what has your growth trajectory been like?
We had a very flat kind of first 3 years, which was we were really early stage and for the industry, because the live industry, you need to know, is a very late adopter. So they are very late when it comes to technology. It's probably similar to real estate, where you have a lot of manual processes and everybody still have their printed paper and their folders, and it's a very kind of old school business. On the other hand, it's a very successful industry. So there was not much a need of, why should I change my business because I'm very successful already. So that was the behavior, the mindset from the people in the industry. So it was really tough in the first years to reach enough traction, to reach enough users. But after those 3 years, the world changed more, and it became more clear that digital platforms are the future of different businesses. That was the time when also a lot of live event organizers started to invest more money into digital marketing and so on and so forth. And that was our chance. And we started to grow faster from that point on. And in the last 3 years, we've been kind of nearly doubling our revenues every year. So it's been great. And we've been growing from, I think, about 50,000 users in the last, 3 years ago, to now 160,000 users. So you can see, okay, it's also going well and quite fast, and we want to continue the journey by reaching more than 250,000 users to the end of the year.
So I went to the Gigmet website, and you have a pretty unique way of connecting the artists to the promoters and vice versa. So how do you charge for your services?
We have two business models. We actually it's very similar to LinkedIn that you probably or everybody's aware of. So we do have a freemium model. That means everybody can register for free. And we, instead of charging, the most obvious business model probably would be charging a take rate from a transaction. So once an artist is booked, to get a percentage. We don't do that. And we decided not to do that because we work a lot with emerging artists, like artists that are still small and upcoming, and maybe medium-sized artists as well. And in that business, there's not a lot of money. So we didn't want to take money out of their pockets, so to say. So we did want to ensure that most of the budget from events goes directly to the artists, so they get 100% of those fees, and we don't have any shares on that. But we do have a pro model that you can upgrade to Gigmet Pro. This costs 19 euros per month, and it's an annual subscription, but you pay it per month because we wanted to, again, since we work with smaller acts, we wanted to make it accessible and affordable, so that you have just a very small, tiny amount of money that you pay on a monthly basis, and then you get more insights, more exposure, more kind of business intelligence in order to increase your bookings, so that you get more out of it, and that is kind of the core business model. Apart from that, we do work with brands and advertisers, mainly in the music ecosystem and consumer electronic products, like Sennheiser, for example, or Yamaha and others. And they are advertisers on our platform, and we build individual concepts as well as targeted advertisement that we offer for those companies. The great news there is that we often make it happen to find projects or ideas that all the artists can benefit from as well. So we have a lot of projects where the brand does something that is very valuable for the artist, and we connect the artists with those brands as well. So that is our second business model.
Gigmet platform, what are the key features that attracts the artists and promoters?
So that definitely shifted a little bit from the start when we started doing Gigmet to today. I will talk about more about today's kind of approach and features. So first of all, we created an artist page that is optimized, has been optimized through a lot of interviews with bookers, festival organizers, venues, and so on, to have their opinion what is most important for them. So an artist get a artist page that is 100% optimized for live events or performing events, and all the structure, everything you have in one page is like kind of a perfect so to say business card for the artist. Within that artist page, you connect Facebook and Spotify and YouTube. And with this information that we get out of Facebook, Spotify, and YouTube, if you do those connects as an artist, we know or analyze how much views and plays do you have in certain areas. And then we recommend the artist to promoters, like to festivals and venues. You can do this yourself as an artist. You can apply to certain open calls and so on. But we also build models around where we use this data and recommend it to the other side. And then from the other side, from the event organizers side, you can browse through our database. You can actually filter by fans and listeners. So that is very interesting, I think, because it's not just about the artist genre or the location of the artist. It's also obviously possible, but you can also filter really by, okay, which artist has the most fans in a certain city, or the most listeners. And that is really interesting to find artists that are popular and that ultimately will help you having successful events. And we have this connection on both sides. And then you can interact with each other and proceed to a booking. And we help with all the contracts, and all this is streamlined on our platform. So that is kind of in a nutshell our service.
What feedback do you get from the artists, like in terms of increasing their popularity or revenues? So what is the feedback from them?
We have a mixed feedback because the industry is the ecosystem of the industry used to be like you send out let's say 2,000 emails as an artist to 2,000 different festivals and venues that you collected manually. You send out an email and you maybe get 10 responses, and out of those 10 responses you get 9 declining your email, your proposal, and 1 accepting. So you have to send out 2,000 emails to get 1 acceptance. And you have to be very active. You have to have a lot of contacts and to research them and so on. So what the outcome is now, we have like thousands of promoters and festivals that we researched on a global level on behalf of those artists. So you get this like this. You just need to log in and you have access to all of those. But you still have to be active and reach out to them and so on. And then of course there is it's always in the music industry, you have to reach a certain level. You have to be good enough as an artist in order to perform, in order to have enough, you have to have enough fans. So the journey starts already before Gigmet. So of course we got very positive feedback from artists who have initial fan base, who have played already some shows before, and who are very active on Gigmet. So they are getting more and more shows. And they come back to us and say, it's fantastic. I get 20 shows a year, for example, through your platform, in addition to what I get through my own network. And that is fantastic. And then there's other users that have not have any fans, for example. And then it's more difficult for them to find shows. So we try to support them, educate them. But we can't change that the industry is like this. So we definitely have, of course, some artists that say it doesn't work for me, but we always have to look into the details, what the artist is about, and what we want to do is, of course, supporting the artists on their career path to the next level. And for those artists who are at that stage already and who are really active on our platform, it works very well.
So is this an automatic matching process, or do the artists have to look for promoters in the platform?
We are in a transition period at the moment. So some is automated, some is still manual. It used to be only manual, and it will be only automated. So that is kind of the current process. So that's also why we're asking the artists to be active and to reach out to the promoters. In the future, we will build more features where the technology itself does it, and you weight kind of what comes in based on what the recommendation engine is doing on its own.
So, in the context of like quality, user experience, and functionality, how confident are you about your product, that is your online platform, and how well can it sustain future scaling?
That's a very good question, very tough question. I am very confident. Of course, if you work in your own product and within your own ecosystem, you see all the little things that you want to optimize. So there's definitely room for optimizing our product. I'm not saying we have the perfect product, but on the other hand, we have built something remarkable We have built a community of 160,000 artists already, and it's growing and growing and growing in the live ecosystem, which is a very difficult ecosystem to build your business in. And it is definitely so difficult that I'm confidently saying it's not easy for competitors to come in that ecosystem and build a community that is already in that size. So what I see is there's definitely a lot of companies working in this area, but you don't have such big communities behind them. So very small user bases only. And we have such a big user base that helps us, of course, developing our service in the live industry. So yeah, I think our positioning is very well, and I'm very confident that we develop very positively in the future.
So, what is the competitive landscape of Gigmet in Europe and in the US? And are there any other competitors, that are providing similar kind of services?
There are services out there, but it's very. I wouldn't say there is a direct competitor that does exactly the same. So there are services that come more like from let's say 20 years ago, when you had the first yellow pages online and you had first directories online. So from that time, so there are some services that have the same idea, but have a different developed a different solution back in the days, and they are now transforming as well, but in different ways. And then you have some very niche and very specialized products. For example, there's in Great Britain, there's one product, one competitor who's specializing only in classical music for corporate events. So, for example, if you need a saxophone musician player at a business event, things like that, and we are broader, and we are more focusing in this whole live event ecosystem. So it's really difficult to identify a direct competitor. Of course, we see there is a certain competitive landscape, and there are certain platforms out there in all countries. We've seen them in Asia, in the US, in South America, in Africa. We've seen all continents. We've seen platforms that have the idea to connect artists and events, but they all do it differently. And we find a very unique approach for ourselves, especially looking at data, like looking at YouTube numbers, looking at Facebook numbers. This is very important when it comes to developing a career for the artist, and we haven't seen that on other platforms in the live music ecosystem.
So you must have many success stories. So what are your top 3 favorite success stories from Gigmet?
So there's definitely one that is great, that we managed to work with a festival that I also personally very attached to. It's a Liverpool Sound City Festival in Liverpool, in the home town of the Beatles, and we started working with them very early, and they kind of I don't know if it's the festival or if it's us, but with working together, our growth started, and that was kind of the beginning of this whole time frame. So I'm very happy about that. Another success story is that we worked with Sziget Festival in Budapest. This is one of the biggest festivals in Europe, and we could book acts to one of their stages, and it was a remarkable experience for us to work with those festivals. So that is very successful. The third success story, I'd say, is really building this brand business that we built, because we now work with nearly all the big names that in the music audio industry, like I mentioned earlier, Sennheiser, Yamaha, Shure microphones, JBL. All of those companies work with us, and we built that in about 2 years. So we only had kind of 2 years and built from zero and not knowing anything about advertisement business to a very successful a model of our business that integrates and interacts well with our community. And I think that's something I'm very proud of, and very happy that we managed it to get to this level.
Yes, that's amazing. And Gigmet is already a global platform, but still you see yourself expanding further in the coming years? And if yes, then are you looking for funding for the same?
Yeah, we built this idea to solve a global problem and to be available on a global level. We are at the moment we are already international, but we are most active in Europe. We do have a well-growing community in the US. We do have users all over the world, but we definitely want to build that up to a level that in all countries we have a good coverage, and we can say, okay, all the most important and most interesting artists of every country are on Gigmet, and as well the events, the festivals, and so on. So that's definitely our aim. And yes, we do need funding for that. We can't do it just on our organic growth. So we are constantly raising funds. At the moment, we do fundraising as well, and I'm actually in talks with investors and pitching, and we have a public crowd investment that is only available in Germany. That since we are a German-based company, we can do that with a German partner. So we have this ongoing as well, and we already raised in this internal crowd funding $500,000 funding. So yeah, we're looking for a bit more, but it's a good starting point.
Do you consider collaborating with businesses from other countries as well, to reach into other markets?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, basically, you have to. We are very open for collaborations, so that's a fact. And I'm also constantly in touch with people reaching out to me and saying, okay, can we collaborate? Can we help you to build your business in another country? Because I'm not the one who says I know everything all over the world. There's different habits. There's different business metrics in different countries. So it's definitely good to have people who know the local markets. But I also believe that it's very powerful if you build your own core team around the headquarter and go into new territories from your core team. So it's probably a bit of both. If I look at other successful music tech companies, they usually have a strong headquarter with a big team to really build the product, and then they have local offices in different continents to help localizing the product. I believe this is something we will do as well in the future. And of course, if there's a company that can support us with that, then I'm more than open for conversations about that.
Yeah, that's great. And now the COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted so many industries, and entertainment industry is definitely one of them. So how has it affected the music industry as a whole and your business? And how has your team responded to this disruption?
Yeah, was really tough in the beginning, because we are definitely not a winner company maybe Twitch is one of those companies, or Zoom is one of those companies who definitely increased their business just by matter of fact that there's a global pandemic. We are not like that. The opposite was the case. In our case, a lot of event organizers who use our service had to stop using our service because they couldn't do events, and that was difficult. But and actually, you asked me earlier about success stories. There's probably also one of those, because within 2 weeks, my team and I were brainstorming what can we do to deliver value to our community. What can we do to constantly deliver this value for our artists in the future, also if there are not live events happening? And we in 2 weeks we came up with okay, we find festivals or platforms or anybody who looks for artists online for their performances, radio stations, everything, like really different approaches. everything that can happen within the current lockdowns and without having physical live events. And we managed it to really get hundreds of those organizers and platforms on our platform, seeking for artists and booking artists. And we made like over 5,000 events last year, like virtual events, and had to bring artists on stages. And there were some really great examples. We had a festival in New York, for example, who then started to showcase artists from the Philippines and from other territories that never would play there because they couldn't afford the flights to go to such a festival. And the festival didn't have such big budgets to pay for a whole band and so on to come over. So now they said we do it virtually, and since we do it virtually, we can bring in artists from very exotic places or very far away, and that worked fantastically. And I think this is, for us, definitely, this is one additional option that stays in the future as well. We have heard so many people who said, okay, it's great for us to continue looking at live streams because, it's something, especially if the artist is not playing in your own city, then a live stream at least gives you the chance to see an artist playing live. So for this kind of purpose, I think it's very valuable. And for us, of course, it's also a chance to have more and more events like ongoing in the future, in addition to the physical events, and build more and more success cases. So that is kind of a win-win, so to say. Also, when live events come back, we have both. We have the digital and the physical events to offer for our community. And yeah, we are really, really happy about it and looking forward to continue with digital virtual events.
Location doesn't matter anymore, it seems, because everything is online. So what's in the pipeline for Gignet?
Yeah, that's we definitely work on optimizing our whole user experience flows. Like we are optimizing all the product. We mobilize a lot of things. So we started off as a desktop product, and of course everybody uses mobile phones for years. But again, the live industry was a little bit late with that. So we jumped late into the mobile game. So there will be more possibilities, and it will be more easy to use on the mobile phone in the future. So that is one part on the product. And there's one part that I'm really excited about, and that is really analyzing the data. And it's a very important part for us as a company in the future. So we dive in deeper in analyzing what does it mean to have a certain amount of fans? What does it mean to have a certain amount of listeners? How does it translate into ticket sales? How does it translate into event attendance? So really to find out, okay, how many people can potentially come to my event if I would bring that artist to my city. So to answer these questions, that is our mission, and that helps definitely to connect both the artists and the venues and festivals, because that is their biggest their biggest problem, because everybody likes to organize music. Like the event organizers, they do it mostly because of passion and not so much because of the money. So because they like to help artists, to present artists, to create events. But money is always an issue, and it needs to be sustainable. It needs to be financially profitable. And in order to find that out, at the moment, there's not much data that's accessible. There's data available. There's data all over, but nobody really takes that and publishes that and shows that in this specific industry. So that is for us very important to work on that and to give promoters a certain guidance. How successful can an event be in the future? And I feel that is something I'm personally really excited about, and we are already working on that. And this year is like really focused on that topic for us.
Right, but now everything is happening online, and there are so many online live events. So are people really willing to pay for the tickets to watch these shows online?
Well, there's both. There's there's a lot of free events, and people don't need to buy tickets, and you just enter or access it for free. It's definitely the biggest challenge in the virtual events is the business models around that. So because there's so many free events, but if you look at ticketed events, so once there are shows that are ticketed, the artists usually sell more than they would sell for a single show. They might not sell as many tickets as on a whole world tour, for example, but of course there's also less costs because you do not have all the big crews traveling over a long period of time. So you produce one show in one spot in one location, and then you distribute it, and you will definitely earn more revenues than one show. And that's something good and bad for, like, it's kind of both. So of course the artists need also higher incomes from physical shows, so that's why they all hoping that it comes back quickly. But on the other hand, it gives every artist a chance at the moment to generate an income. And I feel there's probably more dynamics for smaller acts. It's more donation basis, like free events that you can buy tokens, or you can donate money directly through PayPal or through other payment providers. And then you have the bigger acts who really go ticketed, like with a paywall upfront, you stream and you buy a ticket and you buy your access. But I think it's very early stage, so there will be definitely more experiments coming up, and I can only encourage everybody to experiment in that ecosystem, because there's not really much that can go wrong. You can, even as an artist, if you do a show from your studio in your hometown and you only sell, let's say, 10 tickets because your experiment didn't work out, well, you played a very private concert for 10 people, but it didn't cost you much because you did it in your home studio. So it's kind of easy to start it out and to try it out. And so I encourage people to test more, and then we probably in a year or so we can have another call, and I can tell you more about how that changed over time.
It's a matter of talent. I feel like people are keeping balcony concerts, in drawing rooms, instead, kind of going viral online.
Yeah, so, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great having this conversation with you, and all the best for whatever future plans you have for Gigmet.
Thank you. Yeah, it was really nice talking to you.